Hey everyone, Nick from Accounting Add-ons here, and in this video I'll show you how you can use OdataLink in Microsoft Excel to pull Xero or MYOB data into a Microsoft Access database. Now with this technique, we'll first pull the data from OdataLink into Microsoft Excel, and once the data is downloaded and transformed, we'll use the link table feature of Microsoft Access to link to this Excel workbook. Once done, we can query the data as normal. This approach allows us to work around the limitation of Microsoft Access, as it currently doesn't yet have Power Query built in, nor can it natively consume OData feeds. It's predominantly useful for building reports. That being said, let's get into it. Now, if you haven't already set up your account, there are a few videos that can assist to get you started. So I'm in OdataLink and I've already got my account set up. I'll go to OData Feeds and I'll be presented with all the OData feeds I can use. And for the purpose of this exercise, I'll use this demo company Xero one. So I'll click copy. Now the process is exactly the same whether it's MYOB or Xero. I'll then go to Excel. And once in Excel, I'll go to the Data tab and I'll go Get Data from Other Sources from OData Feed. And I'll paste the URL that I've copied. I'll click OK. Now in this next dialog, I'll want to choose Anonymous Access because it needs to match how OdataLink's been configured. If I go to OdataLink and look at my model, you can see the login type is set to Anonymous. Now if instead the model was configured to use the basic login type, then I would need to choose Basic within the Excel dialog, and I would then need to enter my OdataLink username and password. But because it's configured to Anonymous, I'll choose Anonymous and click Connect. I'll then be presented with all the different endpoints I can consume, and for the purpose of this exercise, I'll choose Accounts, Accounts Classification, as well as Journals Accrual. Now it's worth mentioning that the Journals Accruals endpoint contains all the journal headers and lines in a single endpoint, and this is typical of how OData works, and is different from traditional databases where you have different tables that you need to join. Now I'll expand on that a bit later in the video. For now, on the bottom right, I'll choose the little down arrow and I'll choose Load To. And I'll choose to load it as a table into a new worksheet. And I'll untick the option to add it to the data model because we're not going to build the report directly within Excel. I'll click OK. And this will actually pull all three endpoints into their own sheet. So you can see I've got a Journals Accrual sheet, I've got an Accounts class, and I've got an Accounts sheet. Now I'll just reorder them to make more sense, and I can remove my sheet 1. Now another step you'll want to do is shape and transform the data while it's being pulled in from Power Query. And that'll allow you to clean up the data before you actually start using it in Access. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how endpoints contain both the header and lines in a single set. Now to show you what I meant, we'll right-click on the Journals Accrual and choose Edit. Now at the moment, it displays all the header information but doesn't include the lines yet. Now, if I scroll across to the Journal Lines field, I can click on the left-right Expand button and tick the fields I want to include. Now, I'll select them all and I'll click OK. And as you can see, all the Journal Lines field now appear. Now once I've done that, I can click Close and Apply, and you'll see that I'll have a lot more columns into my data source. Now once I've done this, I'll go File, Save As, and I'll browse to where I'm going to save this Excel workbook. I'll put it on my test folder, and I'll call it Xero Data. Now I'll need to choose the file type correctly, and it depends on what type of Access database I'm going to use. If I was using the older format of Access, the MDB format, I'd want to use Excel 97 to 2003. But if I'm using the latest format of Access database, the ACCDB format, then I can use any of the first 4 formats basically. So Excel Workbook, Macro Enabled Binary, or XLS 97 to 2003. Because I don't really care for the purpose of this video, I'll just use the normal Excel workbook and I'll click Save. So that's a step done in terms of creating the actual Excel file itself. The next step is to actually pull it into Access. So I'll jump to my test folder and I'll open up my Access database. Now the first step I've got to do is pull the data in. So I'll go External Data, New Data Source, From File, and Excel. I'll be able to browse to my test folder, choose my file, and make sure I choose the option to link to the data source by creating a link table. I'll click OK. And it'll show me all the different sheets I can import. I'll choose the first one, make sure that the first row containing column headings is ticked, click Next, and choose my name and click Finish. And I'll repeat the process for each table that I want to pull. Now once this is done, you'll see I've actually got 3 different tables: my accounts classification, and my journals accruals. And once they're linked, I can query them and use them exactly like any other table that is native to Access. Now the Xero file is going to essentially be a static file that has pulled the data from OdataLink, but it has a live link to be able to repeat that process. If I need to refresh the data and see the latest information in my database, what I can do is I can go back to my Excel Workbook and I can go to the Data tab and click the Refresh All button. And that will go through, and you can see down the side here, it's pulling, you can see a spinning wheel, it's actually pulling the data and downloading it again, and then I can save that file so that all the changes are saved. Now that refreshing process can also be automated using all kinds of methods, from VBA code to VB script. But essentially you just need to refresh the workbook, save it, and the data will have been downloaded, and then you can see the latest changes again. So that's pretty much it when it comes to pulling Xero or MYOB data using OdataLink into Microsoft Access by using a link table to an Excel workbook. Hope you found this interesting, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.